Boom! We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Woo-hoo. I am so happy and excited. Now, I bet that's not what you thought I would say when this video started, but if there is anything I have learned over these decades of experience and study, it's that when other people are fearful, it is the time to become the most excited. In March 2020, on the 11th, when the WHO officially declared the pandemic, I was scared. And now every time I get scared, I use that as an opportunity to remind myself the importance of using that irrational fear to make great investments. Buying a Bitcoin at this level is like a treat. It is extraordinarily undervalued. And although the particular dollar price of my portfolio appears to have gone down, this represents opportunity, and one of the greatest ones that I want to go over something that a lot of people are going to be excited to see. And let's do this now. Boom. Okay. Here is a long-term chart of the Bitcoin that we've been tracking for quite some time. Now, if you are new to the Wyckoff accumulation and distribution methods, welcome. I know that a lot of people are starting to study them for the first time ever. It is extraordinarily valuable. What I want to point out here is that this, to me, looks like a beautiful SOS and a giant LPS. This is bullish, not bearish. This is bullish. Now, even more importantly, we've actually come back down to almost to the first regression line around $28,000 here. I don't think we will go much lower than that. You know, some people are like, oh, we could go to 20K. That would be great. And often we have seen that before, where the LPS line actually comes back to the top of the trading range. So effectively here, we're looking at a massive trading range right here. And I bet you very few people who are studying the Wyckoff ranges understand how big of an opportunity this is. Because some random kid who's never studied Wyckoff before has probably scared them into thinking that this is a distribution, when it's not. It's not the way you would expect, where it signifies the end of the bull market. This was a distributive moment that just turns from an SOS into an SOS to an LPS, and then we go much, much higher. So let's take a look at this retrospectively. What does this look like on the exact same time frame back in 2017? So let's imagine that this is the $20,000 peak for Bitcoin, and this was the $3,000 low. Okay, excuse my drawings. I'm basically a 5-year-old. I apologize. I'm a happy 5-year-old. So here we go. We saw our first major SOS, and then we saw a massive LPS downwards. And again, one of the ways we like to do this is by using something called a regression line. So let's get rid of my kitty drawings. Boom, boom. And then we'll do this. So we're going to go over regression lines today. So regression lines, the best way to do them are to start leaving your box, and you make a parallel line from your spring following the channel that it goes up. The next thing you do is you grab another trading range or another line, and you grab from the next high and you keep it parallel. And as you'll be able to notice here, for the most part, we stayed actually fairly well within this channel. Bing, 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 bing. And then as soon as we broke up, we retested it and then we broke out. So from here, what we do is, this is where regression lines become really powerful, is you take the same line from previous highs and you start to draw out and you keep them parallel to the bottom of the channel. Like this. And what you'll start to recognize is that our first SOS and LPS came back down to one of our taller automatic rallies effectively within the trading range, right? So we could look at this as a lower trading range. Here's your first automatic rally, your secondary test, your spring, and then your consistent moves out of your LPS and moving upwards. So we actually came back to test this LPS range, which was generally actually still quite above the bottom of the trading range. Let's again remember that this was like an analog of around 20K for the new Bitcoin high, right? So where we are today represents that perfectly. And for those of you that are really, really good at studying, you will recognize this term that I've gone over so many times of scale invariance, which means no matter what scale you're on, you're going to see something very similar. So here we see our first automatic reaction being basically the return to where we've come from this SOS and this LPS today. This is one of the greatest opportunities for people that are new to this bull market or new to being in the market in general to take positions. That's it, as simple as that. Ethereum, same story. Here we go. Here, again, there's multiple parts taking place. Number one, here was the smaller trading range we started to work on and play with outside of Ethereum. We took most of our positions for Ethereum around this $240 area because, well, that was a genius place to be. Secondarily, we started to measure our regression lines, right? So here, parallel channels, measuring each of them up, following the bottom of the rising supply line all the way to the regression of the previous highs. Now what you can see is that this is actually a much bigger trading range. So even though we entered at the bottom of the box, which provided us a beautiful trading range, this itself is another trading range, right? So the fact that we saw an SOS and an LPS is amazing, right? This is actually quite frequent, and we've seen this often, that SOSs and LPSs do exactly what we've seen. They repeat themselves. So I have the pleasure of being able to talk with people that have more money than you will probably ever make in your life. Probably more money than I'll make ever in my life, but I doubt it. Maybe I will. It's hard to say. Point of this story is, you know what they're doing? They're buying. They're accumulating. This is another area of accumulation, because the LPS is kind of one of the final market moments before we go absolutely ballistic. And if we have any type of relevance to where we were in the previous bull market, the LPS here is very short-lived. That's it. Now I see Turkle Tots here said, if you study Wyckoff, you acknowledge that the accumulation phase could go into the 20-40K range for quite some times. That's not true. These are not accumulation ranges. These are nothing but reaccumulation ranges. So let's be sure that you know what you're talking about, because clearly it doesn't sound like you do. An accumulation range, yes, can take years. In fact, for Bitcoin, we can measure it took around 1,000 days. An LPS range can take around 50 to 60 days. That is not a large time frame. That's not even enough time to have a child conceived and born in. So no, that is not a long period of time. We're looking at maybe around 50 to 120 days in our reaccumulation range, in my opinion. This is not a full-scale reaccumulation range that we're going into. It's very unlikely that it takes less or takes more than 180 days at max. And even 180 days is only 6 months. That should represent one of the greatest opportunities you could ever run into. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that what you are witnessing right now is an opportunity, not a moment to be scared, but a moment to recognize what all great investors have recognized. When there's blood in the streets and people are fearful, you should be greedy. Okay, that's that. Now, there's a lot of talk about coming down to the $20,000 range. And yeah, it's possible. We have seen LPSs do this before. Let's, for example, go look at our Fetch play. I think Fetch is a beautiful example. For those of you that have been following us long enough, you're going to recognize this, and you're even going to know how freaking funny it is, because again, they just represent beautiful opportunities. So where's Fetch? It's down here. There it is. Fetch to US dollar. On the daily. Bingo bango. Get rid of some of our drawings here. Okay. So, and clean this up a little bit too. Where is this? There. We'll hide this so it's a little cleaner. Okay. So let's go over Fetch, because I think Fetch is another fun analog of the kind of placement that we made. So when we first started taking our investments in Fetch, it was way down here. And we actually made this was the trading range that we were following for an accumulation range. And it was a rising gradient bottom. It was hyper bullish, right? Now, the second thing that became really interesting is that you saw a secondary trading range. So this would be your SOS and it would be your LPS. So here, Fetch did return all the way back to the top of the trading range, which would be $20,000 for Bitcoin, and would be approximately $1,300 for Ethereum. That would be the full return to the top of the trading range itself. And again, we've seen stuff like this before, so I'm not going to discount it. I think it's highly unlikely. There's a lot of money on the sidelines that are getting in right now and probably keeping the price above that. Fetch was a no-name, no one knew what Fetch was when we were making our first investments here. Everybody knows what Bitcoin and Ethereum is. It's very unlikely that they return to the top of the trading range. If they do, awesome. It represents even a better opportunity. Would I wait at this point to make an entry around 1,300? No. I've started buying Bitcoin here, and that's that. You don't want to try to catch the exact bottom. We are in the range of the purchasing area. So keep that in mind. that a return to the exact low of the previous trading range is not worth the wait. Not worth the wait, because you might miss it. Especially because look at this primary regression line we have leaving from our automatic rally in the first place is right around $28,000. Even if it dips to 24, good luck having any size or position filled in there. And I mean for like the bigger players. Remember, you should probably understand that people that manage hundreds of millions of dollars and people that manage only thousands of dollars like this channel. That's a large gap of people. So you might be able to get your $1,000 play filled here. But if you were looking to get millions in here, it's not going to happen. So don't worry about it. This whole region here below these regression lines is a sweet spot in my opinion. And again, this to me looks like a giant SOS, an LPS, and then we are going much freaking higher. We'll leave it at that. I love that moment. I've loved that I've taught myself to be extremely excited about the moments where people are fearful. I know it takes a little bit of practice, but once you get it right, the rewards and payoffs are huge. So keep that in mind. Steel with the Arcane Bear, I will go over and take a look at some of your guys' thoughts and questions and go from there. Prove it. I don't think you're buying. One of the other things I've learned to do is just ignore people that are ignorant and arrogant like that. I live on a multi-acre farm here with a 30-foot tall gate and an armed guard tower for a reason. I'm not one to like show off wealth. It's just not a smart thing to do. In fact, it's probably fucking stupid. So fuck you. That's what I got to say to that. I say you to stupid people. Ask me to show you proof. Jesus Christ. What an idiot. As a matter for that, just I'm going to ban you because you suck. Anyone who asks questions like that don't even deserve to be here. Bye. Okay. How about a correlation to altcoins? What's your view on accumulation, continuation, end of alt season? Look, Bitcoin is going to do significantly well here in the future. I'm a bit look. Looking at Avalanche at $14 right now is ridiculous. Definitely on my accumulation range here for Avalanche because I did buy a bit. I threw another like 40 grand into Avalanche around $35. So I would like to reduce the cost of that one, and I had more room on purchasing power. I have a podcast with Amin from the founder of Avalabs coming out soon on Monday, so stay tuned for that. He is brilliant. I'm a huge fan of Avalanche. That's all I'm going to say for that one. Nice. Acetylene says, I don't really care if it takes 2 weeks or 2 years for the turn upward. I'm buying right now. Thanks. That's a great one. Matthew says, thank you for helping rewire my brain since 2017. Guys, I want to share something with you. It's not my personal story, so I won't use his name. One of our private members who was on our call today was 18 years old when he started following the Arcane Bear. And he consistently made investments of small sums of money throughout the process because we focus on venture capital. We like these far out bets that we play. And he's made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. That is such an amazing success story because he's only 23 years old and has more money than probably all of his friends at his age, right? So you know who you are. You're in the private group. I'm super proud of you for doing that, for sticking around through all that hard time while I continued to talk about things like Matic and Fetch when nobody else was paying attention. You deserve all of your gains. I'm super proud of you for that one. Economics of Geopolitics is great channel, great insights. Keep it up. Thank you. I love that. Hi from Barcelona. Hi from Costa Rica. Would you recommend converting some alts into Bitcoin? Not now. You definitely don't sell into weakness. You sell into strength. Countries definitely can't stop Bitcoin. Let's see. What do you think of Telcoin? It's not in my circle. I don't understand. Look, the other thing, guys, I've learned too is to keep my focus quite narrow. There are very few things that I understand. I'm not hyper intelligent, although sometimes it might look like that I am. I don't like to consider myself that way. So I keep my wheelhouse thin or narrowed, and I focus on areas where I see communication of value. Avalanche fits that perfectly. Mercurial fits that perfectly. Serum fits that perfectly. But Things like Telcoin, I have no idea what they do. Probably doesn't fit my wheelhouse, so I'm not even going to look at it. What about Polygon? Yeah, we made our first investments into Polygon around 1 cent to 3 cents. So I'm not even thinking about it right now. But again, everything's going to be on sale over the next week or two. Would you dollar cost in or go all in? Never go all in, because then what happens if it goes down a little lower? Especially that usually if you ask a question like going all in, it means you don't have enough capital to manage and you're trying to make a bunch more money. One of the greatest quotes I've been able to internalize is, heads I win, tails I only lose a little. But what you should internalize more than I win is tails I only lose a little. That means that in moments like this, you should not be going all in, because that means you can lose more than you probably have outside of your portfolio. And that's never a good idea. You should note that my first company that I started back in 2013, we were doing $60,000 a month in revenue. Like, my journey into wealth has been here for a little bit. I don't know where you are in your journey. So I can't give you that type of advice. Definitely don't go all in. Never sounds like a smart idea. Turkle Tots says, there's a possibility that we are building a right shoulder and building a much larger top. It might not feel good, but it is possible. I'm a huge fan of Serum, Soul, and Rune, but be cautious. In Bitcoin, no, I feel that we're going to making an exact identical version of what we've had. Like, look how beautiful this is. Like, you can't make this shit up. Let's go all the way back to 2010, right? It is identical over and over again, right? So let's go to let's look at here. Okay, so here we are in 2013. So part of the idea is, yeah, could we come back down to $20,000? Yeah, well, look, we did definitely come back down to the top of the trading range in 2013, and for quite some time. We spent like almost 2 to 3 years at $200, right? So that would be the downside, is that the bull market is totally over. That's it. It's gone. It's done. Bitcoin's going to 20 grand, and we're not going to see a new high for like 3 to 5 years. I just don't see that. So retail is mostly gone already anyways. So this repeating function here of the SOS and LPS range and these much larger trading ranges is probably the most viable way to look at where we're at. So again, we could spend maybe 3 to 6 months in a reaccumulation range here at around the let's say 20 to 30. We'll even go all the way back to the top of the trading range. Sure. That's not a bad thing. Let's draw that out. We would do this, right? We'd come back down. Let's go all the way to 20. We'd come back up to 34, and we spend like 6 months. I really don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see it. I just don't feel it right now. Maybe I'm wrong though. Either way, this whole area between where we are and $20,000, these are buying ranges, not selling. Again, the other way to look at it, so I guess maybe I'll try to dig deeper into what Trottle Tats is talking about, would be, okay, is this a hypodermic top? And then we would see like a little shoulder like this and then fail down to 18,000. This is possible too, for sure. Again, but I still think it would be an SOS, an LPS, and before you know it, would be on our way to 100 grand. But just knowing how much buying power there is on the side right now, and knowing how much money those people have compared to the people that are calling Turkle Tits, I just don't believe it. I don't believe you're right, Turkle Tits, just by the function. Like, I know you and I don't fit in the $1 billion category yet, so I don't see it. We're down over 1 trillion in market cap. We've gone over this, but most of that is bullshit. It's not like we've actually gone $1 trillion down. Most of it is total garbage nonsense. Why don't you use log chart? Because log chart is only sensible for looking at the whole picture at once. I'm trying to look at the story through time. Log chart ignores time, and I don't want to ignore time, because then it would make the areas of my reaccumulation ranges significantly less valuable. So the reason we don't use log is because we're charting specific time frames, like this time frame, right? So see how this beautiful trading range take place? It was so amazing. If I put it in a log chart, it basically becomes irrelevant. And we don't want it to be irrelevant. Log chart is good if you're trying to look at the whole story at once so that you can see a relative growth function, but that's not what we're doing. We're looking at linear patterns, linear growth patterns to some degree or another. You got to ask who is accumulating more Bitcoin. A lot of people, big players. Right now, do you think it's possible to continue this dump straight to 20K? Look, again, you don't want to, this whole area is generally a value of accumulation. I actually personally think that, look, if you go back and look at my videos, I called for $30,000 from this potential distribution since April 23rd. So I don't think we're going lower than this. And again, I think that this is just the start of the finality of the bull market where we go much higher. And again, it got rid of all the retail there too, which is great. Chainlink is getting hammered. Yeah, in these moments, everything will get hammered because there's nothing holding up the other side of the trade. We've kind of gone over this a few times before, that let's kind of look at this from a sentimental level. You know, because I want to show you guys this. When you're looking at CoinGecko and it said $2.5 trillion, most of that is fake. Most of that is non-existent, right? So you've got a company called Hex. First off, don't buy this, whatever you do. Don't buy Hex. Hex on the market cap thinks that they have a 570, wait, where is it? Oh, Nomics are showing it. Nomics. Well, there's the bear token sitting strong, only down 23% instead of 50% like everyone else. Don't buy bear token either. This is just me playing around with DeFi technology. Don't buy it. I like playing around with stuff. Hex, okay. What fucking horse shit? This is horse shit. This is in absolutely no way a relative value of what Hex is worth. They think that Hex is worth $20 billion, right? So when you think that the market cap has gone down over $1 trillion, it's because Hex is not worth 20 billion. Not at all. It's impossible. That's impossible. It's not worth anywhere near $20 billion. And you know how I know? Is because I can go to Uniswap. We can go to Uniswap. I don't know why Uniswap is. Oh, probably Uniswap is overwhelmed by people trying to cover positions. Okay, well, this is not going quickly. Uniswap is absolutely useless in any time of need. Okay, the point of this is, I'll just explain it to you. Uniswap won't even load. That's fantastic. Okay, well, there's the lesson for DeFi right now. It just does not have the capability to keep up with this. So the point of this is Uniswap on Hex right now says they have like $1 million on either side of the trade, yet they say that there's a $20 billion market cap. That's not how market caps work, right? So if someone who had over $1 million in Hex wanted to sell, they could fucking destroy the price in a matter of seconds. Right? Oh, and by the way, for those of you that are new and having troubles with your exchanges, go to the only exchange that ever operates during these times by going to arcanebear.com/FTX and sign up for the world's best exchange. FTX has not ever and will not ever go down. Boom, there it is, up and running like a goddamn dream. If you want to be able to make sure you can access your assets when you need to, go to arcanebear.com/FTX. I am not shilling this because I want you to use it. I'm telling you this because I fucking love their product. I use it all the time. It is absolutely fantastic. No, it is definitely Uniswap. It is not my internet. I have 50 megabits a second on my line here. See how quickly speed test loads versus Uniswap, which is not functioning. So here we go, just on a visual representation. There's no way it's my internet. Don't be a jackass. Uniswap is a piece of shit right now. Use ftx.com. Anyways, quick little shill moment because I love their product so much. Total liquidity is 2.2 million. Yeah, exactly. What makes FTX so different or good? It's made up. They've built an amazing product. It puts everything else to shame. Oh, we could go to Dex Tools and look up Hex. Good idea. So right now, what I'm trying to explain is why the market cap has dropped so significantly, is because most of it's fake. Hey, look at that, Bear token back up at 11 cents now. Don't buy Bear token. It's just me playing around with fucking DeFi shit. Okay, let's go to Hex to we'll go to Ethereum so we can see what either side of the trade is. Okay, so let's see here. Total liquidity is only $2 million for a supposed $20 billion. And that means it's only $1 million on the other side of the trade that's actually valuable. So that's what I meant, by the way. It's $1 million worth of Ethereum and Hex on the other side, which is basically worthless in my opinion. So whatever, Richard Hart, I don't think you're right. So here's the point of the story. If you right now would look on something like CoinMarketCap and you know that $20 million is nothing but bullshit, that means the market only has to move a little bit for that supposed $20 billion to disappear. That means if Hex has gone down, what are they saying right now? Hex has gone down 40%. That means their market cap is supposedly dropped $20 billion. And that's all bullshit numbers because there's only $2 million of liquidity, only $1 million is of something of value, which is Ethereum on the other side of the trade. So no, keep that in mind. What do you think of crypto indexes like C20? I wouldn't touch it. Should I wait till it drops to buy more? That's always a bad question. You should focus on constant accumulation over the course of decades. Just whatever it does today should almost be irrelevant to you if you're following your understanding. Do you think Avalanche, Solana, or Cardano will be the hype of coming months? BCS was the attention of last months. I was never a fan of BSC. Although I did buy BNB in August because I knew that they've got a great community. I think Avalanche is probably the most ingenious thing that we've seen since Bitcoin. Everything else in between Bitcoin and Avalanche is not exciting to me to some degree or another. And I know that's a little overzealous of a statement, and maybe I like to be overzealous, which is probably just in itself true. I think Avalanche represents one of the greatest inventions we've seen since Satoshi Nakamoto's consensus protocol. That's it. Pink Summer. Hey, Pink, it's good to see you back. Says, we'll wait till Injective Protocol launches the first true DEX, derivatives and stocks, commodities. That's why I like Serum, Pink, is that Serum is FTX version of, look at that. Bear token is worth more than Hex, just in case anyone wanted to know. Arcane Bear. Don't buy Bear. Again, this is me playing around with the DeFi world. I like making stuff. I'm not suggesting anyone ever buy that, but just in case you wanted to see, Bear is worth more than Hex. Don't buy Bear. See, whoever bought Bear here, don't do that. It's just me playing around. Okay. Here we go. Back to the Bitcoin chart on the long term. This again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this represents one of the greatest opportunities to make entries into this sector that we've seen since the pandemic started. Don't fuck it up. What's your opinion on exchange tokens? I like FTT, but I have a feeling that over the course of the next 10 years, they're going to be focused on a decentralized exchange. So I look at most of their products like Solana and Mercurial and Serum. I'm a big fan of all of those. Do you think free will is an illusion? Great question. To some degree, the waves are so powerful. All you do is get your best to surf them, but the wave that it gives you is the one you get to ride. So whether you want to choose a right or a left, you are quite limited to your choices. Are you sponsored by any coins? I don't know what sponsored means. Anytime we do like if we do a sponsored review, which we've done very few of, I disclose that in the video where I'm talking about it. Secondarily, I often will make investments into companies, and you will know that because I tell you I'm invested in this. Now, here's another way to answer that. I'm currently in talks with a company called Benchmark Protocol. They make a stable coin, and we're looking at, okay, you include looking at our charts once every week, you go over our PR, and we'll give you X amount of dollars in Benchmark Protocol. And I go, yes, because then I'm an investor. I'm not getting paid to talk about the coin. I technically am making an investment in them. So there's a bit of a side route there. I don't do that often, but I really like Benchmark Protocol and I want to find an investment in them. So this is a really easy way for me to go, great, now I have an investment in Benchmark Protocol. So although I tell you guys that, importantly enough, you get those disclosures from me while I'm doing it. So I will tell you. But right now, no. This video is just me shit talking because I love doing it. This is definitely not done. This is probably one of the sexiest points that you can have, which is a giant SOS and then finally an LPS, like a real LPS. And I know it looks daunting because it's around 50%, but the same thing happened back here in 2017 when we had big SOS and LPS moves that brought us back to regression lines outside of the box. We jumped up quite a bit out of the box, and then we saw these boom 30 to 40% regressions, retracements, boom 40% retracement. Now, one of the reasons why I think this is such an over-exaggerated retracement is because the difference between now and 2017 is you have a bunch of retail traders who have never traded before. And by the way, guys, don't fucking ever use leverage. If you are listening to YouTubers who tell you to use leverage, just stop. Don't listen to them ever tell you that. They are making money off your failures. Fuck them. I know these are like, I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, but just ignore their bad advice. Don't play with leverage. Don't play with leverage. So one of the reasons why I think this has been such an over-exaggerated play here is because you have a bunch of newbie players who had leverage in their accounts that should have never ever been playing with fire. Please to God, don't do that. You can do so well just by having spot investments. Let's see. How much money have you made in crypto? Yeah, all those questions are totally irrelevant. I live in a country, again, I'm going to go over this again. I live in a country right now where I have a 30-foot tall gate and an armed guard tower for a reason. One of the things I've learned as well, I have friends that have made hundreds of millions of dollars, and the only reason you know is because you can look it up on Forbes. When I get to the Forbes list, then I'll have no choice. But until then, I have no reason to disclose that to anyone. The last thing you want to do is make yourself a target. Let's not be fucking stupid here. Jesus Christ, people are so dumb. Thoughts on Theta? I've never been a fan of Theta, but I have a lot of people in the Bear family who made a lot of money off of it. What's the weather like in Costa Rica today? So for those of you that don't know, I live on a beautiful 2-acre farm out here in Costa Rica, and because you asked, I will show you what it looks like right at my front. I'll show you what it looks like right at my front doorstep right now. Go back in here. What do you think the bottom is for Bitcoin? Again, I think that we're near the bottom of this LPS. I have some friends who have significant amounts of capital, probably more than all of us combined on this channel. Like at least right now, I could be guessing. Maybe they're even watching right now, and then I would be incorrect. But the point of this is there's a lot of money on the side here that is playing this game. So they're accumulating again at these levels. Can the altcoins decouple from Bitcoin? Like we saw with Link back in 2017. Dude, I'm just curious why we should listen or subscribe to you. I don't give a fuck what you think, Debido. If you're going to ask me stupid questions, I'm just going to ban you. And then you can go listen to other shit channels. Like, I don't need you and your stupid questions either. So you ask me one more time, I'm just going to ban you. I would rather less people that are higher quality. And that is not a high quality question, just so you know. My friend lost his 401k because he went down the rabbit hole with crypto using his referral link. Yeah, guys, just stay away from leverage, please. It'll be fantastic for you. You'll do much better. Please check out the Celsius network. I like the DeFi world. Guys, I love the DeFi world. I thought you were moving to Bali. I am. It's just a little busy right now. I can buy a business class flight whenever the hell I feel like it. I could leave tomorrow if I wanted. So we'll go from there. Advice on buying near the top of Matic? Well, first off, probably means you're new to the sector. And in which case, welcome to the world of investing. I would be patient and think about 5 to 10 years. What's the cost of living in Costa Rica? So I built this house and bought this property about 8 years ago. So I spend like nothing on a day-to-day basis. Although vehicles are very expensive here. My truck cost me way more than it should have, but they have a lot of import fees on vehicles. So there's that. Nice drawings behind you. Thank you. Local artist, amazing. For those of you that want to know, mine as well. We've got 860 people live on the stream. We'll just do a long live stream today. Again, guys, I think that this represents a fantastic opportunity. So here, this is a local artist. He's the same guy who did the Arcane Bear ones. This is my ex-girlfriend from 2017. She is also an amazing artist. And this is from my legal team. He is one of the best attorneys ever. He's a goddamn gangster. He does photography, and they sell the photography to help fund this children's orphanage. So this is a photo from the orphanage of the kids when he showed up one day. So fun little story there. Oh, and just so you guys know, let's see. Let me do this again. Okay, my $5,000 camera's not gonna fall on the floor. So you guys know the same artist that did those cute girls that we were just showing you that are half naked. He also did the Arcane Bear private, this painting. So this is a hand painting. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Anyways. Let's go back to the screen here on Bitcoin. And let's go even on the smaller time frames here, because I know a lot of people are going to be scared. Where could we go? It definitely looks like we could touch this $28,000 regression line pretty easily. And in fact, this is probably where we're going to. I suspect we see 28,000 one last time. And this is why. It's our final regression line based off our previous automatic rally. And that's what we saw in Bitcoin on the last cycle too. We came down to the previous automatic rally line. So here on Bitcoin in the previous cycle, yeah, we saw our first automatic rally line was around $1,900 before we went really, really high. So again, I suspect that these are very similar analogs of what we're seeing today. 40 to 50% drops to test the regression lines. And then we're near the end of the bull market after this. So this is midway through the bull market. This is very healthy. Again, I think the reason why we've had such an overextension in the downward cycle is because how many newbie retail traders sadly listened to people shilling them leverage affiliate links and lost a bunch of money for no good reason when they could have just been accumulating great assets and not playing stupid games. You don't need to use leverage in a sector that has asymmetric upside. So please, God, don't play with leverage. Do you have a girlfriend or married? I have a girl that likes to come sleep over frequently, actually more than one. I would like to get married and have children one day. I'm 30-something, so I'm kind of right on that edge. Get married soon. I'm sure, actually. You taking your dogs to Bali? No, I have a full-time gardener that helps take care of the property. We've got 2 acres here, so to prune all the trees and keep everything looking sexy, I'll probably get them to build a nice pool while I'm gone this time too. So no, I have a person who works full-time. Are you high right now? I'm always high on life. This is an extremely exciting moment. This represents a great opportunity for in the crypto sector, in my opinion. Millionaires are made in the bear market 100%. That's why we are arcane bears, not arcane bulls. You should do a video of the pros and cons in living like a place like Costa Rica. Need to realize you are giving up a lot to live in a third world country. Yeah, it's true. It's not easy. I like it because I grow ayahuasca on my property. I have 150 fruit trees. I have a private waterfall and a well. But yeah, you know, you lose some convenience. My doctors here are better than I ever had in Canada. My dentist here is the best dentist I've ever had. So there are some things that are actually higher quality and cheaper. Do you feel lots of retail investors have been shaken out? Yeah, most of them have been shaken out. When do you see them reinvesting? And Bitcoin probably after a week go to $70,000 again. They'll try to jump back in. Bye, Paul. We don't need you here. Happy to lose people that are not quality. It's fine by me. Do you plan on getting another chicken? Oh, that's a funny question. So for those of you that don't know, when I first moved here in 2011 was I first bought. I tried to have chickens, and I put the chickens in a cage, like regular chicken wire, and then a fucking jaguar ate them. He jumped at the fence, grabbed the chicken, and pulled the chicken through the fence. I woke up in the morning to like blood and guts and feathers being ripped out of the fence. Yep. I have a lot of money in Bitcoin, hold or sell. You have Bitcoin and Bitcoin. Are you going to sell your house every time the price fluctuates? I'm new. I just found you via YouTube suggestions. Well, cool. It's good to know the YouTube suggestion works. I'm not your average YouTuber. I'm not here to like make you feel happy or comfortable. I'm here to tell you what I think. That's my opinion. It is not financial advice. You do whatever you think is best. I'm just here sharing my growth and experience. Chaivoski, this is funny. Please ban people. It's definitely a day where I need the joy where you're banning idiots. It makes me happy. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad that the smart people enjoy this. Why are you so aggressive? Why are you so dispassionate? That would be a better question. Or maybe you should understand the difference between passion and aggression. Have you ever been offered a partnership from Femex and Bybit? Yes. And I said no. Again, I love FTX. It's the only exchange I've traded on that I ever like, but I'm not taking it. Just because I don't use them. Maybe they're good. I love FTX though. It's the only reason why I use those links. Any of the links you see below are from products I actually use frequently. Except for BlockFi, I guess now technically, but that's a different story. Do you also have versions of Bitcoin chart and log scale? And if you do you mind showing it? So again, the reason I don't use log scale, because a few of you have asked at this point, is because I'm looking at linear progressions, not logarithmic progressions. So linear progressions, and the difference between linear and log is time and price. So I'm not really interested in percentage movement so much as I am about the trading range which exists in a price movement. If I were to use log scale, a lot of the price relevant functions through time that I use would become irrelevant. And that doesn't work for what I do. The Wyckoff trading ranges work specifically best in linear function formats. So that's the answer to that. So no, I don't. Okay, cool. Mr. Benny Holgard sounds like someone who's poor, so we'll just go ahead and ban him too. Not that I'm going to ban you if you're poor, but if you just look, guys, anyone who says stupid things in the channel, asks ridiculous questions that are uncouth, spams things, I just ban you. The bear doesn't want to hit 32K. That would be great. I would love to see us go down to 32,000. Again, I actually think that we could touch 28. This $28,000 to $25,000 region for our previous regression line. How much of your portfolio percentage is Avalanche? Well, I would have to check because the price has changed drastically. So that would appear different. Each time. So I'm not sure. Whoa, okay, well, I got to catch up on the questions here. There's so many. People can't handle honesty, Tio. Awesome how you're just real and focus on the good. Money is not everything. Thank you, Stefan. I appreciate that. See, you guys are always allowed to stick around. What is the typical cost for 1 acre of building? It used to be a lot cheaper. The property I bought here was like 4 times cheaper than it is today. I could sell just the lot of my property for 4 times what it was worth. So that's nice. Tom George says, hi, I'm from India. Ivermectin in Goa. That's one of my favorite things. I like India. I don't know much about it, but the only thing I do know is that Goa is starting to use ivermectin. So I'm praying for the best results for Goa right now. Ban the stupid people. Where do you live? I live in Central America in a country called Costa Rica. Jeff says, I was staying in Dominical. Yeah, I'm about 15 minutes away from Dominical. Can we have your Avalanche podcast today, please? No, it'll come out Monday morning tomorrow at 10. Unless you're in the private den, in which case you already have access to it. Thoughts on affirmations? Great question, Darren Cooper. One of the most difficult parts in life, guys, is to remind yourself that you are already wealthy. You live in a universe that is full of abundance, not scarcity. That's important to remember, because often what we do is we put ourselves in a negative mind state by being like, oh, I fucked this up. I made a mistake here. If I'd only done this. And that's not going to help you in life. What generally helps you in life is to get excited. Be like, wow, I fucked up. I failed, which means I get to learn something and I'm not going to make that mistake again. Let me move forward with all this vigor and this excitement, just like a child would through all the mistakes that they make learning how to walk. And when you do that, when you remind yourself how important it is to remember that you don't know a whole lot and you're always learning, you'll do significantly better. How's the healthcare in Costa Rica? For private healthcare is amazing. There's standardized healthcare here too that I get as a resident, but I don't use it. I just pay to go to the doctors and the dentists because they're my friends. Yeah, let me say the poor of mind, not the poor people, because that's definitely not what I'm trying to say. Anyone who is poor of mind and has poor of mind questions, we'll just remove your ability to comment, because we don't need that we don't need that in the room. Like, let's stay on the how rich we already all are. You could take all my money, you could take my property, my multiple businesses away from me. You could leave me with nothing, and I could find my way back to hundreds of thousands of dollars within the first 9 months, guaranteed. So keep that in mind. I don't really care how much money you have. I care your mindset and your interest in learning and recovering and growing. Can you talk about the 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin? Well, that was a fun moment, right? So everyone doesn't like what Paul's saying. I haven't even seen a comment from Paul yet. Todd Mullis says, check my super chat. Oh, okay, there we go. Todd says, there has been a narrative change about Bitcoin being old tech and will be ultimate overturned by ETH. I'm 90% Bitcoin, and I heard this in 2017. Thoughts? Well, Todd, technically, Avalanche could overthrow Ethereum. So are they late to the table? I think Avalanche represents a better opportunity than Ethereum. Ethereum is trying to become what Avalanche already does. Yes, Bitcoin is old tech. Yes, I think Bitcoin is basically boring, but it acts as an extremely valuable asset layer, right? So the DeFi sector needs things like Bitcoin, right? I technically like Avalanche more than I like Ethereum, but that's just because I've now had a conversation with Emin. I mean, but I've also chatted with Charles Hoskinson. I haven't had a conversation with Vitalik yet. Maybe he would be kind enough to let me ask him questions. Maybe not. Either way, this sector and technology is always constantly replacing itself. There will be many companies that fail. I don't know which ones those are over time, but understand that technology replaces itself very, very quickly. What's relevant today may not be relevant tomorrow. And that goes for everything in this sector. So I don't try to pick that so much. Again, I try to live by the idea of heads I win, tails I only lose a little. So it looks like, again, I think we're going to come and touch this $21,000 or $28,000 area for our previous regression. And then I think that this just becomes this super sexy LPS. Now, again, in the area of reaccumulation, which is likely what we'll see here, we'll probably see, I think that we're going to see a reaccumulation range that does something like this. We come down, we touch 28K, we jump up to 42 to 43,000. We spend like maybe a month or two in here. We jump back around 50, 56, and then we start a whole new movement outwards. And then what you end up seeing here is basically a reaccumulation after decline. So for those of you that are new to studying the Wyckoff trading ranges, one of the things we've gone over consistently and frequently, it's our favorite form of study, we've been studying it for quite some time, are the reaccumulation ranges. And there is a specific schematic that we have grown somewhat fond of, and it's called the Reaccumulation Schematic 4. So reaccumulation schematic 4s have this moment where you have a big peak out and then a really harsh drop into a new reaccumulation range. It looks something like this. So I suspect that what we see is an analog for Bitcoin where we have a big top out moment, bang, 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 and then we drop down to around 20 grand and we form a newer reaccumulation channel, probably between here and October, let's say October. And then we continue on to around $100,000. Now, the reason I believe we're going to $100,000 by December now instead of August, because we've obviously changed the time frame, is the stock to flow deflection model. So I guess, hopefully, Todd, I answered your question there as well through that, which is, I don't know. Heads I win, tails I only lose a little. Do you like Avalanche more than Solana? Yes. If so, why? The technology is basically revolutionary from what I can understand. Do you find it helpful to use your Elliott wave conjunction? There's one thing that I wish we had spent more time going over, which is actually the Livermore accumulation patterns. So this is a really interesting one. These Wyckoff, these Livermore accumulation patterns where you have a widening megaphone, a breakup, and then a retest. So an SOS and then an LPS basically. So I suspect that this actually might be what we're seeing with Bitcoin. I'll open up. What I believe we saw with Bitcoin, I'm sorry, I'm drawing over a chart here that I've had for a year because I don't want to screw it up. I love this chart. It's been gold for me, is that we started to see a widening megaphone pattern way back here in June, July, August. We went long. We saw numbers 7, 8, 9. And then what we're seeing are like 7, 8, 9. And then we're seeing basically a pullback into what will become a larger LPS and SOS within our story. So again, I suspect that we probably spend 2 to 3 months in a reaccumulation area, and then we're off towards $120,000, we'll say. That's it. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to keep repeating that forever, but do you think the bear market is in? No. Can you discuss ICP? No, I don't like it. I ignore things like that. Its price is probably extremely overvalued for a reason. The narrative we're all in this together is dangerous. We're definitely not all in this together. I don't know how you would even calculate that. We're all in this together if you talk about like the earth and us needing to survive on it. That's a fact. What are your thoughts on Matic? We started accumulating around 1 to 3 cents. So I think it's a great play. But again, we've been here for a while. Generally, if you're showing up now and asking these questions, it means that you're about 2.5 years late to join my channel. You should be focused on this channel about a year or two from now when the market hype is totally gone. And if you start to forget about the markets, let me say this very clearly. When you forget about the markets, that's when I'm the most excited. And that's when everybody in the bear den is the most excited, because we as bears know the most important time to accumulate and forage for the things that we need during the winter time happens when all of the bulls have left. If you live in the US and you need even relative dental work, is it cheaper to get done in Costa Rica? Way cheaper. Way cheaper to come to Costa Rica, and better, often much better. Guys, everything is being crushed right now. Remember the doorway I said for the fire exit is very thin. There's nobody on the other side of the trade except for Bitcoin. So everyone's running to Bitcoin or USDT. Let's see. Any chance you can get another Cliff High interview? Oh my God, I would love that. We tried to reach out with him for our space chats because I want to do a secondary podcast, but we'll see. It's not easy. Cliff does his own thing. For those of you that don't know, if you still want to watch Cliff, he does videos frequently, but they're only on BitChute. So go watch them on BitChute. I love Cliff. I still think he's great. Give us 5 reasons why this is not a bear market. Well, if I need to give you reasons to find hope, you're not doing enough homework. But let's go over and look at this again. This is the biggest amount of fear we have seen in Bitcoin pretty much ever. One of the fun ways to do that is to look at the stock to flow deflection model. Yeah, so this is Jaxa where you're wrong. Let me finish this and I'll go over why I think you're wrong. Okay, let me say Jaxa's question too, because I'm probably going to lose it. Jacksaw says, Bitcoin will never get to 100 grand without new investors. We're at like 5% in crypto. Yes, but what you have failed to recognize is that Bitcoin doesn't get this high because of retail investors. It gets this high because of big players. Retail investors are the people that get sold to at $60,000 Bitcoin, not the people that are buying at 60 grand. So you should make the distinction. The people that are buying now are people that have hundreds of millions of dollars, or let's say millions of dollars. They're the people that move the markets, and don't worry, they're here. Don't mistake that. It's not even that we need new of them. They've always been here. They haven't left. Keep that in mind. You're talking about like retail, and that they don't move the market. Okay, so here is the stock to flow deflection model. And I'll explain what this does. The stock to flow deflection model shows when Bitcoin is underpriced versus the cost to actually create a Bitcoin. And one of the other fun things too is now the price has actually dropped below this as well. So we are at one of the, whoa. Hey, shh. Keep your mouth shut, computer. There's 3 computers at once all trying to tell me something. So we are actually at one of the most fearful places that Bitcoin has seen in its price since the soft fork, hard fork of 2017. That is incredibly cheap. The other one I wanted to go and look at was the reserve risk. This is another fun way to kind of look at this. Again, we are right in the middle of the bull market. We're seeing what, again, I believe is equivalent to where we were back here, where we dropped around 40%. But right now, we're almost close to in the green of a purchasing area. This is, again, this is just screaming buys to me. Imagine telling people to buy all-time high for months. I never told people to buy for months. I don't know what you're talking about. We weren't even up at the top for months. You kind of suck at telling time. And just don't use leverage. Technically, you should be buying all the time anyways. Like, I have an investment thesis that has me buy every month. Do you notice how Michael Saylor bought $15 million worth of Bitcoin every 25 days? Don't be a jackass. Learn how the big players buy. We're always buying. Man, Jesus. How low do you think Bitcoin will go? Probably around 28 grand. It looks like a good area. These guides with channels are so disconnected from the average fellow man. No, I'm not. What we're doing is trying to get you prepared for what real investment looks like. And if it feels like it's disconnected from you, it's because you haven't understand that to live like that, you need to walk differently. That's it. I promise you, that's the difference, is understanding that what you're doing wrong is you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it wrong, what I tell you will look like the wrong thing. You're like, wow, that's so disconnected. Yeah, it's because you're doing it wrong. It has nothing to do with how much money you have. You're doing it wrong. You should be buying all the time at a small basis. And then when things are fearful, you should be doubling and tripling down. Yeah, if Bitcoin goes to 28, how low will ETH go? It could go like what, 15, 1300? Let's take a look here. We're actually right at our regression line for Ethereum here too. I don't see it going too much lower, but we could definitely come down to 1300 for as an LPS range for our previous all-time high. It's too painful for new people to accept harsh facts. Yeah, I know. You need to, investments are a thing. It's like going to the gym. You don't just go to the gym once and be like, yeah, I'm ripped, bitches. No, you need to go to the gym every freaking month for 5 to 10 years. And more importantly, all the time. Don't just show up once and think you're going to get good at this. Come on. Do we need TA or FA when trading? You shouldn't be trading. If you're asking a question like that, you shouldn't be trading. You should be thinking about being a good investor, which also means going to have a job. Odds that Bitcoin will get back to 50. I think we're going to 100 grand by December. That's my personal feeling. On one of my weekly to monthly charts, I see an opportunity for Bitcoin to flash crash to 25 to 15. I really don't see us going that low. Could we? Sure. I know how much buying power is in the side. I talk with people that have more money than Like you could randomly pick 100 people on this channel, add up all their net worth, and it's probably a fraction of what I know a few of the people that are playing this game is. So trust me, they're on the sidelines and they're accumulating in these areas. This is a buffer. This whole area here, even down to, if we were to hit 18K, you would see nothing more than a wick there at best. I think the amount of purchasing power that's accumulated right now would shock you. I'm just going to ban people like Jay Dean who says use 100x leverage. Anyone who says stupid stuff, you guys just get banned. So if you're prepared to get banned from ever commenting in this channel again, go ahead and say something stupid. I dare you. I'd love to see you gone. So again, anyone that says stupid stuff like that, you just get an instant ban. You're not, I don't want anyone reading your nonsense. It's not worth it. You're a waste of anyone's mind space. So get out of the way. What are those slanting lines you're using? So these are called regression lines. A little bit more of a tricky concept to go over. Not super relevant for the new investor. They show us areas of resistance based off our previous buying climaxes. So let's use Bitcoin as an example. So as you can see, while we were at the bottom here, we had a bunch of regression lines during our first areas of accumulation in our primary accumulation range. So here you can see our regression line and this beautiful channel that formed as a reaccumulation right up that. And then we broke all the way to the top to our previous regression line. So again, I could actually take a regression line out here, draw it horizontally, and what do you see? A massive amount of supply and demand around this area. So regression lines represent supply characteristics to the upside. You can also see them to the downside. So on a regression line to the downside would look like this. As soon as you broke out of that, you started to see some upside. But again, you can see that as soon as you crossed over that regression of the downside, you fell very quickly. So regression lines are basically support and resistance based off supply into the future or from the past. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, again, so anyone who says stupid shit on the channel, you just get banned straight off the course. Is there powerful news for Bitcoin or Ethereum? It's not about news. The people that know what this sector is, they're making investments kind of regardless of what the news is. Right now, we're just in a peak moment of fear, and all the retail investors are like, oh my God, maybe I should just sell and buy back later. And that's how we know we're near the bottom. Stupid people are too stupid to know they're stupid. Yeah, that's a fact. You were funny. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Hey, bro, I invested in XRP at 70 cents. Now it's at 50 cents. What are your thoughts? You're thinking too short term. Good investors need to be able to think in 5 to 10 year formats. I suggest reading more books, and I would put Dan Dow and 100 Baggers at the top of your list. And more than an investment of what you should do, you should focus on investing into your education. Any thoughts on Algorand? It's amazing tech from what I understand. Let's take a look here. We'll go through a few more of your guys' questions. For those of you that are asking intelligent ideas, not spamming the channel, thank you for being able to make it through my crap wall. You guys will continue to remember to be able to play around. And again, anyone that says stupid things, we just go ahead and ban you. So there you go. If you wanted to test it too, and you said something stupid, you're going to find out that it doesn't bode very well for you. Okay. Sorry, I'm just having to go through and ban people talking about using leverage right now. They're a waste of other people's mind space. Don't ever listen to people that say that. Yeah, so if you want to get banned, even if you're joking, you're going to find out how quickly I don't care. What are those green and red bars on the right? Oh, so this is a VPVR. That's a volume profile. Good. This is a good question. You won't get banned for that, I'll tell you that much. Let's use Ethereum. So this shows where the majority of the buying and selling took place. So as you can see, we're really high up and there's really nothing holding us up. We have a large amount of support here and a large amount of support here, at least in this area. If we go lower than that, very, very quickly could easily drop down to the $635 area. Sorry, I'm just getting sent a message. I want to keep an eye on to see what it says. Do you have enough crypto to buy a haircut? Why would I buy it? Well, who are these people that are so vain that they would ask, like, buy a haircut? Are you kidding me? You think I care what other people think about me? You freaking moron. So crazy. Yeah, if you spam, you get banned. Just like that. You guys are making it easy today. Have enough money to buy a haircut. What is it, buy a haircut? Do you have enough intelligence to learn how to speak English properly? Come on. You're lucky I don't ban you for a stupid question. What person asks another person about their haircut? How low life are you? Your thoughts on Carl the Moon? Do you know him? I don't want to speak poorly about anyone. I'm sure he's a great kid. And probably is basking in his own luck, thinking he's smart. It's what most young kids do when they've made money the first time. I definitely thought I was a genius the first time I was making a lot. Sadeep Razer says, I love your hair. Okay, well, I'll take that. I'll take the compliment. Someone asking me to buy a haircut. Like, what the fuck is that? Is this trading view? Yeah, this is trading view. So again, the VPVR is only on the pro view. If you're new to trading and new to investing or trading, you don't need pro. Again, what you need to do is probably to do a lot more studying. I want to try to remind everyone. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, the chat is on fire with stupid. Don't worry, guys. I'm going through my best to try to ban as many. I should let more of my moderators know that we're doing this. Okay, let's take a look at a few more of your guys' thoughts and questions here. Well, let's go to the 1 minute on Bitcoin just for fun, just to watch how ridiculous if there's any new ranges forming. So here we are, the 1 minute on Bitcoin. Yeah, we're definitely coming down to $28,000. And just to let you guys know, whoever's making these footprints right now, they have an extraordinary amount of capital. We're talking extraordinary amounts of capital that's doing this right now. So don't be worried. By the way, Herbert Fields eats poop. There we go. Trying to deal with that, Herbert Fields. Hi, T. People are frustrating today. Thoughts on the future of Avalanche? Oh, and Avalanche. So we have the Avalanche CEO podcast on Monday, and then the Avalanche founder and CEO on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for those. I'll save those for the podcast because we already had those conversations. Wow, so many questions. I'm glad we've gotten rid of most of the noise. My favorite place to buy Bitcoin is to use FTX. If you're new to the discussion, you probably should not be trading. You're most likely going to lose money if you try trading. I'd focus on being a good investor first. You're going to be much more successful over the long term if you understand that. Consistency and commitment on long-term view and daily learning has been needed for anyone enjoyable vesting. Good luck to you all. Great sentiment, NP. Tio, do you live for moments like this? I do. I love stuff like this. I don't know if you saw how I woke up excited for this video. I called a few of my my fellow investor friends to see how everything's going. These are exciting times for us. Yes. Everything's on a massive move down right now. Again, the fire exit is thin, so there's no other side to the trade right now, basically. And no one's going to be buying, like the big players are waiting. They buy in tranches, so they have limit orders set at certain areas. That's why you usually see like a spike down and then an instant turnaround. Thoughts on accumulating more ETH versus Polygon? I'm actually more interested in accumulating Avalanche. I think it is extraordinarily undervalued still. Are the whales who bought at the dip selling now? No. Here comes 31K. Yeah, true. Look at that. Let's look at the 45-minute. Remember, we had a dip down to $30,000 the other day, and it recovered very, very quickly. I don't like Ethereum Classic. So many are not scared to invest right now. Retail traders are too scared to invest right now, and they're basically unimportant in the market. I apologize if you're a retail trader, but you're basically unimportant. Compared to the people that have hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. That's who moves the market. Do you short? Not in the middle of a bull market, that's for sure. I often, so let's see. Let's make sure I say this correctly. I like to use more advanced or exotic ideas when we're near the end of the bull market, not in the middle, because it could very easily have gone either way. So I like options, not going short, because it allows me to basically cover the account like an insurance contract. So, but these are very advanced ways to play. Tio, you're like a little boy at Christmas. I know, these are great times. I think this is extremely exciting. When do we know if we're in a bull market? Usually right after the fear subsides. So every day from March 11th, which is the day the WHO declared a pandemic, we were in a bull market. Turkleton says, please pull up Agar Trade so we can watch liquidations in real time. Okay, cool. I didn't know that there was an Agar Trade. Thanks for learning something new. Agar.trade. Watch, I'm getting scammed into some freaking, he's fished me. It's like a scam website. No, okay, luckily my Ethereum and MetaMask wallet here is my public one, so it's not a big deal. Opinions on banter bags? No idea who that is. What is your favorite altcoins? Do you have a bear portfolio? Bear portfolio? All the stuff that we release is for the private den. Generally, guys, I've gotten so tired of people who don't know how to play that I focus on people that have skin in the game. I know that for some of you that might not feel all that exciting, but it's just the easiest way for me to manage my own time as well. Yeah, look at this. Nice little dippity dip here on Bitcoin at 32K. We've got Ethereum at 1800. Now again, remember with Ethereum just the other day, oh yeah, this is where we came down to already. Yeah, boom, there we are, 1900. So let's go to the Agar Trade. I think you wanted me to watch that. It's not loading. I'm sorry, it's not loading. I can't, if it's not loading, we're not going to watch this nothing screen. Sorry, we're going back to Bitcoin and Ethereum then. We're watching the things that are still moving. Yes. Andy Reed says, hey dude, what's your thoughts on Sonic Boom token? Their pre-sale launches tomorrow. I have no idea what it is. If it's not on my radar, I'm not going to be getting into it. It's very unlikely that it's likely that if I was interested, I would have seen it. And if I hadn't, then I'm probably not interested. I would wait or not invest at all. I'm not going to invest. How's that? Simple answer. Not financial advice. Although also I have to tell you very clearly that I wasn't interested in Theta and a bunch of the Bear family were, and there was great accumulation ranges that were taking place and they were able to capitalize and do like 10 or 20x. So don't trust me. If you think it's like the next best thing, you should follow your own damn advice and make your own investments. But for me, I can tell you right off the bat, I haven't seen it. I don't know what it is. It didn't end up on my radar, so I probably wouldn't invest in it anyways. You are also retail. You are using exchanges. I use an OTC desk. Sure. That's great. You can go to arcanebear.com and you can look at under services. It says OTC. Try that. Oh yeah, here's another one I wanted to go over. One of our bigger players mentioned I should probably do this. Oh, it's Sunday. That's not going to do us any good. So one of the things we like to do, guys, is keep an interest on the... there's a few I'm buying in the alternative space right now. Avalanche, really. Everything else I'm not too interested in. I think that they're a fantastic layer 1 protocol. More importantly, though, the story what I want to go over right now is looking at the dollar index chart, which is about to probably continue a breakdown as well, which would be ultimately bullish for us. But on Monday, we're going to want to keep a close eye on the S&P 500. So for those of you that don't know, the external markets are extraordinarily relevant still. And if we go to the 45-minute, we've been following a new trading range in the S&P 500 that could end up turning bearish, which could be a sign that Bitcoin will come down to 20 grand itself. So right now it looks like we're in somewhat of a falling channel. So we're going to want to keep an eye on what the S&P 500 does, because it's right on the edge too, where it could go up and break to 4,500. And this is S&P 500 ETF, so it's a little smaller, but it'd be 4,500, not 450. Just recognize that there is a difference between these if you are going through your studies, or down to 395. So even this test of 395 here could bring Bitcoin down much lower too, and a bunch of the rest of the sector. So be prepared for on the Monday market open. I'll be live here with you guys at around, let's say 8 a.m. and we can adjust what the market is doing, because we've just entered into phase B of this new trading range for the S&P 500, and I think it's going to be valuable to keep an eye on this. So what we'll do for fun is we'll actually even set some trading rules. That way, when on Monday morning the market opens either up or down, we will be notified, just to remember to look at the S&P 500. Bang, just like that. So yeah, I just got a message in my Telegram saying pretty much the exact same thing. Look, guys, if the S&P 500 opens up above the point of control here, Bitcoin's going to scream. If we start to go down, Bitcoin could touch, let's say, $20,000 to $18,000. We're going to want to keep a regular eye on the traditional market space itself. And just for fun, let's see what the VIX closed at the previous day. So the VIX is the volatility index. This measures basically fear in the general markets. We were following a rising bottom here quite nicely. If we break below this on the VIX, again, that would be positive for the S&P 500, and we'd probably see a scream for Bitcoin. If we see another bounce up for the VIX, it would be likely more downside for Bitcoin, between 18 to say 25,000. Oh God. Okay, so I'm probably going to only be able to answer a few more questions before we jump off. But hey guys, there's over 1,000 of you right now. I would really appreciate it if you gave us a thumbs up for this content. And then if you're new to this channel and you like the way I manage the conversation by kicking off anyone who talks about leverage, please subscribe by going to the Arcane Bear channel itself. I'll refresh aggro trade. There it is. But if you could go to social media, you know what? Just go everywhere. Follow us on all the social media channels. If you're new, go to youtube.com/Arcane Bear. You can just subscribe to this channel that you're watching right now. Click that little bell. Be notified every time we go live. You can follow us on Twitter. I like to generally post mostly memes on Twitter. Like this. I think this is a great meme of Bitcoin's roll from 65 grand. I thought this was hilarious. I like memes on Twitter. I post photos usually of friends, myself, and usually, let's say, just beautiful general photos. I don't post anything crypto there, really related. Sometimes you get a crypto meme like this. This is always a fun crypto memes for Instagram. But more importantly, follow us on YouTube here by hitting the little subscribe button and the little bell. That way you will be notified when we go live. And Dylan Palacio says, let's see here. Here's the Bitcoin liquidations. Wish this was a bit more, if I could see more functional data. Like I really don't even know what this is saying yet. I'd have to try to break it apart. I don't really like that. I don't like when I can't clearly tell what something's saying here. Is it these are longs or short positions that are taking? Yeah, I can't. I'd have to figure out what this is before it was relevant to me. Sorry. Yeah, so we're going to want to keep a close eye on the VIX for Monday morning open and the S&P 500. So Dylan asks, as someone who hasn't invested in crypto, but I want to, when should I buy? Should I wait a bit longer? Dylan, the best way to invest is to go about your regular day and find one time every month where you like to invest, say the 11th of the month, because it happens to line up with 3 days after you get paid your regular paycheck, and invest whatever small or large amount you have in that extra capital into the things that you find interesting. Trying to time the market perfectly is a surefire way to lose money. And over the best results, it is much, much easier to just play the market on the long term. You do not want to go to the gym thinking you're going to get ripped on day one. You want to go to the gym frequently, and over the course of a decade, build a portfolio. That's my best advice for you, and it's really the best advice, period. So Marcus asked a question here that I think is worth going over. Marcus says, I took out a loan on Celsius so I didn't have to sell my crypto, and I might get liquidated when I thought it was impossible. The price is so much lower. First off, guys, you should never take out loans on margin or leverage. It's really not a good idea, not unless you have exorbitant amounts of capital. If you don't have enough capital to cover the trade, no matter what happens, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. That's my advice. I know that's not great advice, but that's the truth of the story. Okay. BTC supply in the open market, we'll go over that. All the way down to the bottom of these ones. Okay, let's go over. Remember to subscribe to the Arcane Bear and give us those thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate that. And we'll go over the open liquid supply on Bitcoin right now. So this is always a fun one. I like this. This is... okay, so this shows us the amount of supply coming into the market. And as you can see, over the last week, as I get closer and closer to this chart, you can see that a fair amount of supply came into the market. We went from 13%, basically, to 13.5%. So 0.6% of the market was able to move the price significantly. Although I'm assuming that a lot of this is going to be accumulation, again, based off the reserve risk ratio, the stock to flow deflection model. We are actually getting so close to, and look, if we hit $25,000, that is a screaming buy on the reserve risk ratio. So keep that in mind. Basically, we're in the buy zone effectively. Sorry guys, anyone who spams the channel, you just get an instant ban, even if you think you have a good question, straight ban. Leverage positions are being liquidated. Yeah, again, don't play with leverage, guys. Otherwise, you're just going to lose money. Arcane Bear, do you think Bitcoin will bounce hard before alts follow? They'll probably both bounce at a very similar time, just because the liquidity in the market will increase drastically. And I know there's a lot of other players that are interested in undervalued assets. True Addicts says, glad I stumbled on your channel. Glad to have you here. Should we put a stop limit at the 25K? Why would you put a stop limit at the 25K? What? You should be buying. I'm buying in these areas. Like the moment I get off here, I'm probably going to go buy another 2 Bitcoin or something. Just be weary of that. If I'm wanting to, this is a great question. If I'm wanting to learn more about investing and trading, would you suggest I add my reading list first? Great question. If you go to Arcane Bear and you subscribe to our channel, and then you go to the playlist section, I actually have under the playlist, it's called Arcane Bear's Favorite Audiobooks. Some of my favorite books that you can get for free on the public domain are right there. 100 Baggers is one of them. Dan Dow is another one of them. The Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, which is like one of the most recommended books ever. The Better Prosciuttos by Nassim Taleb. Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. These are all free audiobooks you can get by following me. And Reminiscence of a Stock Operator as well, another top 10 favorite. Some of those, again, you will find for free under the playlist section of Arcane Bear's favorite books. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Best alt right now? Well, first off, I don't call them alts. Layer 1 solutions, Avalanche. Small cap coins, do you think I should liquidate these now? Why would you? Don't sell into weakness, ladies and gentlemen. You should be buying weakness and selling strength. Very simple motto. I know it sounds... Buy low, sell high. That means buy weakness and sell strength. Don't sell into weakness and then buy into strength. That's always a bad move. What do you think of the Wyckoff distribution? I think that unless you know where you are in the market, it's basically useless information. The only thing that is undervalued right now is Arcane Bear. Thank you for that. I like that. That's a great one. Have you read Black Swan? I have read all of Nassim Taleb's books. I've read Fooled by Randomness at least 3 times. It's one of my favorites. Josh says, I wish you had been suggested to me 6 months ago. I don't know why YouTube doesn't like me. It's probably because I swear so much. I don't call them alts. Yeah, it's a true story. Like a layer 1 solution. I'm not a beginner here. I don't want to sound like one either. How is support measured? That's a very long question. It's in the buying ranges. So if we go, let's use Bitcoin as an example right now. There are a few ways to look at this. We'll go back out to the daily. It's just going to give us the most relevant data. Yeah, the other way to say that is to buy into weakness and sell into strength. It's probably more relevant to say it that way. So on the right-hand side here, you can see we're actually in an area right now that has a fair amount of new buying and selling that has taken place. To some degree, I would almost say that you could consider this a primary support, and this was a buying climax, and you could see a very quick run up to the top here as well. I'm not going to negate that already. So we see strength on the right-hand side here, and this is measured by our volume profile. Again, there's an enormous amount of support in the $18,000 to $20,000 area. We could see that low, especially if the traditional markets drop out, but we're going to have to find out. Buy low can also mean catching falling knives. Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb, Atlantis. You're new to investing, clearly. See, it felt like catching falling knives for a newbie who is buying Bitcoin. Like, okay, let's pretend Atlantis is right, but he's not. Okay, and let me show you why it's incorrect to think like that. You're like, okay, look, I'm buying Bitcoin at $8,000, right? That's a falling knife. Oh, and then Bitcoin goes to $3,000. I'm down. But you're not. If you made a good value investment, you keep accumulating, you buy more Bitcoin when it's at $3,000 too, your average price stables out, and then now you have Bitcoin at $5,000 instead. That's how you invest, Atlantis. Clearly, you don't know how to invest. And that's the downside. Don't listen to people that don't know what they're doing. This is why I suggest reading books like 100 Baggers and Dan Dow. All of those people have made hundreds of millions of dollars. Atlantis has not. Don't listen to people. I mean, clearly, I'm basically saying don't listen to me either. Like, I haven't got to hundreds of millions of dollars yet, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I suggest reading books like Dan Dow and 100 Baggers. 100 Baggers author is worth like $1.8 billion. Dan Dow of $280 million. Like, you can just, look, tell you what, unsubscribe to my channel and just go follow the people that have made hundreds of millions of dollars. It means you're going to end up basically reading books only. Best Avalanche entry point. This is all good. This all looks gravy to me. I think Avalanche is worth a hell of a lot more than what it's at today. Do you drink coffee? Chaga is one of the best substitutes for coffee. Yeah, dude wants instant gratification. Yeah, try to think longer term, like really widen your horizon here, ladies and gentlemen. It'll do you so well. Hey, Philippe. I'm going to actually turn you into a moderator so that you can help me manage some of this. Boom, Philippe, you've been upgraded to a moderator. I think you need 2,000 Avalanche to be a node on chain. People that don't, HODL is not a best option, just don't understand time. Yeah, like I said multiple times now, we could easily touch 28K here. That's our previous regression line. So I suspect we're going to hit our regression line here around 28K, 28 to 25K. Yeah, people are too worried about buying at the absolute bottom instead of buying value and holding. Super smart. Yes, welcome, Philippe. You've been upgraded to a moderator. Thank you for the support, and I appreciate it. Do you recommend Fibonacci retracements? Hey, that's actually a fun question. We do use them. Let's take a look at where we are right now. For fun, we can measure from our previous trading range back to our spring. We are about to, we're right around the 2618 for this particular area. If we go and measure from the previous buying climax to the bottom of the range, we are at the 1618, another area of support we're finding here. So there are multiple areas of support that are taking place within this $20,000 area. You could do something else to measure our retracement lines, measure from the top of the line here all the way back down to our spring. And we are at around the 0.5 and the 382. Not super exciting. The middle of this range, at least from the buying climax here. But again, this area of regression to me looks like it'll be our primary support. You didn't lose 70K this week. How should Bitcoin be able to go to 70K? Because people that have hundreds of millions of dollars more than you are buying, not retail traders. Retail traders will show up after Bitcoin has gone above 70 grand again. Again, for those of you that have the short-term time frames, you should really take that out of your mindset, because it's just going to cause you so much stress and failure. So again, for those of you that want to know about the books, Dan Dow and 100 Baggers, just follow us on YouTube and go look at my playlist. You have the free versions here, 100 Baggers and then Dan Dow. So both of these authors have made hundreds of millions and one of them billions of dollars. Dan Dow is an Indian word that is very similar to Wu Wei. It means, how do I make the most from doing the least? Do you recommend Fibonacci retracements? I recommend being a good investor, which doesn't necessarily need to understand any of those things. Technically, your best way to understand where you are on the market is to invest when people are ultimately the most fearful, like the beginning of the pandemic, or when terrorists hit buildings, or when there's a supposed financial economic collapse. Those are the best times to be investing. We're about to hit the support region for Ethereum, which is at around $1,390. Are you a trader or a long-term investor? I'm mostly long-term investment strategy, but every now and then when I get bored, I make trades, but I don't suggest it. I got enough money I can lose and not care. Unless you have enough money to lose and not care, you shouldn't be trading. That's my personal opinion. Unless you go through like a long, arduous process of like 3 years of studying to become just a good, solid trader, and you can make money doing that, but it's actually easier to make a shit ton more money by being a venture capitalist and being a long-term investor. You don't go to the Forbes top list and find traders. What you do is go to the Forbes top list and find investors, private equity. Yeah, you want to liquidate your market when you're ready to retire. And even then, who knows when that is? Joseph, you should learn how to become a better long-term investor. You're thinking in much too short of a time frame. I don't give a shit what you bought or sold. First off, I don't know what the hell ICP or Cosmos is. In the middle of the bull market, it's all frothy garbage. You should probably only be buying important things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, things that are clear market leaders already. Anyways, leave it at that. I got other things to do with my day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us. Over 1,000 live viewers. Remember, one of the most dangerous things that the new investor does is jump around and make over-emotional trades. And what we've done is created a mastermind group to help solve those problems. So if you're new to these markets and you consider yourself adventurous and like to try new things, go to arcanebear.com/private and sign up for the private bear den. We have over 900, almost 1,000 private group members who all have skin in the game, who've been investing for years. They're all working together to make sure that they make less mistakes. It is a no risk trial, because if you sign up and you're not happy, we'll give you a refund, because I don't care. We don't need your money. But at least keeps the quality of the people who invest and come into our sector, at least know that they've got skin in the game to be able to play. This is Teal with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all for joining us today. Remember to follow us on all the other social media channels, and we will see you guys again on the next episode.